One thing I know, David, is that a team with great players, a team with the right people usually wins, but it doesn't guarantee winning. So one of the way of doing it is that we have to consistently build the right team culture within the organization. I know that when you were with eBay and PayPal, you managed over 300 people globally. And with Adobe, you have managed over 100 people, and your current company with Redcat, you're managing over 120 people. How do you develop team culture within this organization? Do you have a framework?
It's, again, a very important question. I'm glad you asked it. At PayPal and at both Adobe and currently at Redcats, it's really all about how you view the world and what that world looks like in the eyes of the people who are in the organization, right? So, I wind up often wondering, you asked me this question, and I wonder, how different people, how everyone answers it, right? So different people have different approaches. My approach is really one around ensuring that the group dynamic is such that you have people positioned for success. And what I mean by that is, how do they interact with each other? What kind of framework do you put in place so that they can be successful, not just as a new team, because a lot of times I've inherited teams where there are people who are coming and going, or I've been asked to come in and change the direction of the team significantly, and that can often result in new people coming in and kind of changing the balance a little bit. But I think that, directly that question goes right to the heart of what do you expect from people, right? What do you expect from them? And I expect that people have a great sense of pride in what they do. And you have to be able to tap into that in a way that gets them very excited about what it is that we're trying to accomplish. So, for example, I have faced at times people who came in and they said, we've been doing things this way, and we'd like to change those things, but we don't really know how. And so, it's a little bit about it is helping people get to that core of what it is that they're trying to do. Are you feeling, what is it that you're feeling about the resistance to making these changes, and what are the changes you're thinking of, and help them come to the conclusions themselves. And a lot of times they'll look to me for the answers, right? Well, you tell us what to do. And my most important point about that, and I learned it long ago, was that the notion that you have to teach people to fish. You can't just give them fish. And so, it's the culture of, is it a safe environment? Can you say anything? Can you raise issues? Can you speak up when people don't really want to speak up? I often say to people, I love the tough questions. I love the questions that nobody wants to ask because they're afraid of asking it and they're afraid of the repercussions. And so I feel as though when the success in what you just described is often measured by how comfortable people are really talking about the difficult issues and the difficult challenges openly and coming up with creative solutions to them. If you can create that environment, you've basically beaten out about 99% of the rest of the world.
I like what you're saying, and I'm trying to listen to your answer and trying to put it in a framework that I have adopted from a book called The 5 Dysfunction of a Team, written by Patrick Lencioni. And what he talks about there, that if you really want to build an effective team culture, you need to create an environment where people can speak their mind. I believe sometimes he used the word productive conflict. You have to let people to speak their mind, say things like it is. But people cannot really speak their mind unless they trust each other.
That's right.
So how do you build a culture where people get to know each other and can communicate with each other feelings, and that cannot be done unless the trust has been built. So trust,
yes,
combined with creating conflict, commitment, accountability, and constant focus on result can build a team culture. What's your assessment about that framework?
I think that, first of all, that book's an excellent book. I agree with you. It's wonderful. I often say, and even in my current job when I first came in, I often say to teams, I'm not interested in playing the blame game, because what the blame game does is that it pits people against one another and nobody's accountable. And so I think it starts with the leader effectively saying, I'm going to trust you, you are going to learn to trust me, and you absolutely have to learn to trust each other. And to me, often that barrier to overcome starts with people not being afraid to be accountable and recognizing that actually as a team we're accountable. It's not necessarily about pointing fingers, but understanding what it is that has been a problem and how can we correct it. And sometimes it's something that does relate to one person's behavior or a group of people and how they're behaving, and you really have to have a heart-to-heart conversation with people about that. But I think that my experience has been, if you set the tone in such a way that, and you demonstrate trust and you demonstrate empowerment, and you say, look, I know you're going to make mistakes, but you're going to learn from them, and I'm going to be there to support you, and we just don't want to make the same mistakes over and over again, then I think people begin to gradually, those barriers begin to come down, and so it's not easy. You're right, it's a tough thing to do, but that framework is absolutely right on from my perspective.
Sure.